Creating custom Pokemon for you! Welcome back, everyone, to the show where we select lucky commenters to spin a series of random wheels that give us factors for a Pokemon that we then create just for you. What's up, y'all? If you didn't see the title, today is actually a special episode. I recently got back from a vacation in France. It was my first time outside of the US, and honestly, it was amazing. I went to a bunch of different places along the French Riviera, and of course to Paris, and the whole time the atmosphere and the sights were incredible. But because I can never quite turn off the Pokemon part of my brain, the whole time I was there, I was thinking about new Pokemon that could live in the environments I was seeing. So now that I'm back and fully inspired, I thought it'd be fun to make 3 custom Pokemon for my French viewers, which will not only be decided by random wheels per usual, but I'll also have to find a way to base them off something that I saw while on my journey in France. So if you end up liking today's episode, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. But without further ado, let's get into the first French Pokemon. And this one will be for Tonio. I definitely did enjoy my time in France. Thanks so much. So alright, Tonio, let's start by getting the power level of your Pokemon, and you are going to be regular. Nothing wrong with that. Now let's see how many times your Pokemon can evolve, and you are going to get 1, which makes you a 2-stage evolution line. Now let's see what typing your Pokemon's going to be. Your first type is going to be the Bug type. That's going to be difficult. Didn't really notice any bugs in Paris. And Bug Electric type. That is actually very cool typing. And the last step before we see which Pokemon looks like, let's see if it has an X Factor, and you do a signature ability. Nice! Get ready to meet a Pokemon that's the definition of a one and done. The first stage of your Pokemon is Petitor, the Volt Storage Pokemon. While these Pokemon are electric type, they're actually not capable of unleashing the large electrical burst attacks that we're used to seeing because the voltage they produce is very low. However, where this Pokemon lacks in power, it makes up for in ingenuity, as it's known to build small tower-like structures on its back where it slowly stores electricity over time. So in battle, they can use this storage to charge one unexpectedly powerful attack, which is usually enough to either take out the threat or at least give them enough time to run away. And this is reflected in its signature ability, Charge Holder, which states that the first time Petitor uses an electric type move in battle, it will be boosted, meaning it would calculate the damage of the attack as if Petitor had a special attack stat of 150, which for reference, that's on par with the likes of Kyogre. However, after that move, Petitor's special attack would revert back to its measly 15. When exposed to a Thunderstone, it would evolve into Voltiza. Upon evolution, these Pokemon only gain a small boost to their electrical abilities. But don't worry, as yet again, their engineering prowess shines through, as they can now create 2 much larger storage devices for their electricity. And its ability is now even stronger as well, as it will now boost the first 2 electric attacks that this Pokemon uses, making it one of the most unexpected powerhouses in the Pokemon world. And for inspiration, of course, this Pokemon is based off the super iconic Eiffel Tower. But more specifically, it's based off the tower at night, where it glows a beautiful orange color. And its signature ability is a reference to when the tower sparkles. I didn't know this before going, but every hour on the hour, the tower will actually sparkle for a short 5 minutes. And I'd like to imagine that just like this Pokemon, after releasing its large electrical attack, the tower itself needs time to recharge after putting on such a marvelous display. And I think we all knew we weren't going to get out of this video without making an Eiffel Tower Pokemon, so I hope you liked it. But now let's get into the second Pokemon. But before we get into that, if you're watching this video and plan on doing some traveling yourself, then I have to tell you about today's video sponsor, Saily. Saily is an eSIM app, which means that you can use it to download a digital SIM card onto your phone, which will allow you to use mobile data while in foreign countries without having to pay your data provider's roaming fees or having to buy a new physical SIM card. And it's super easy. Let me show you how it works. So I actually downloaded the app through the App Store before I got to the airport, and after I got through TSA, I just opened it up and selected Add Data. Now, I was just going to France, so that's what I typed in the search bar, but they offer plans for over 190 countries, so they have way more than France. But anyways, after selecting the plan with the amount of gigs that I thought I would need, I just paid for it and then hit Download eSIM. And after that, I just followed followed a couple of easy steps that popped up on my screen in order to download the digital eSIM onto my phone, and that was it. For the rest of my entire trip, I had mobile data for a lower price than what one day of my carrier's roaming fees would have been. And if that couldn't get any better, Saley is also offering an amazing deal to my audience where you can get 15% off of your data plan by using the code Pokédex at checkout. And that is seriously a super good deal, so if you're planning on doing any traveling coming up, make sure to use the link in my description or pinned comment to check out Saley, and make sure to use the code Pokédex at checkout to get that sweet 15% off. And a huge thank you to Saley for sponsoring today's episode, but now let's get right back into it. And this one will be for Tongeeks. That's a great name, I hope I said it right. But alright Tongeeks, let's start by getting the power level of your Pokemon, and you are going to be a mythical. That is like only the third one of the entire series for a special episode. That is insane. Now, mythical Pokemon usually don't evolve, but we do still spin this wheel where you have a very small chance to, but you didn't get any this time. Now, let's see what typing this French mythical Pokemon's going to be. Your first type is going to be the Rock type. That is a very cool type to me, so that's cool. And Rock Dragon. A Dragon type mythical, you just can't get any better than that. And the last step before we see which Pokemon looks like, let's see what its X Factor is going to be, and it is an additional form, one of the best ones. This Pokemon is absolutely stacked. Get ready to meet the most versatile mythical Pokemon ever. Your Pokemon is Carvgoyle, the Architecture Pokemon. This Pokemon is known as a protector of amazing architecture, often positioning themselves on their rooftops and staying completely still, blending in seamlessly with the real stonework around them. However, if any threat is brought against the structures it guards, it will burst alive and use its ability to draw power from the structure itself to transform itself into a more powerful state. When protecting the Notre Dame, it would transform into its stained mode. Now standing as tall as the Notre Dame itself, it uses its ginormous glass wings to reflect any attack sent its way, sending it back towards the foe at 10 times the power it was sent in. When protecting the Louvre, it would transform into its pyramid mode. Now sporting a ginormous source of electricity on its back, it's able to unleash bolts of electricity so large that they cause every light in Paris to momentarily glow. When protecting Versailles, it would transform into its garden mode. If a body is intricately designed as the mansion itself, this form is able to infatuate all who look its way, stunning them with its beauty before dealing a devastating strike. Now for inspiration, I kind of decided to lump all the amazing architecture we saw in Paris into one Pokemon, because honestly, if I made one Pokemon for every cool building that we saw in Paris, this video would be 17 hours long. I can't tell you how many times we came out of the metro and looked around and there was like the most incredible structure I've ever seen in my life, and then it turns out it's just like a hotel or someone's apartment building. Like, Paris just does buildings different. And in particular, I really like the Notre Dame, Louvre, and Versailles, so I decided to combine them into this Pokemon, which is honestly my favorite of the entire series. This thing is insane. So I hope you liked this Pokemon as much as I did, but now let's get into the third Pokemon. And this one will be for Matthew, who says that they hope they get a Mega Evolution. And I love Mega Evolution, so I hope you get one too. But anyways, Matthew, let's start by getting the power level of your Pokemon, and you are going to be regular.
There's still nothing wrong with that.
Now let's see how many times your Pokemon can evolve, and you are going to get one, which makes you a 2-stage evolution line. Now let's see what typing your Pokemon's going to be. Your first type is going to be the Bug type. That's weird. We had a Bug type earlier in the episode, and Bug Rock type. We just had a Rock type as well. A lot of repeats this time around. That's random. And the last step before we see which Pokemon looks like, let's see if it has an X Factor, and none this time. No Mega Evolution, I'm sorry. This Pokemon is very weak, but that doesn't mean you should mess with it. The first stage of your Pokemon is Pebsqueak, the Rock Beach Pokemon. These Pokemon can be found on the many coastlines of the Pokemon world, and are known to scuttle from rock to rock, feeding on the salt that the ocean water washes up on shore. And when challenged to a battle, these Pokemon prefer not to engage and will instead run away. And when this happens, you should not follow them, because if you do, you'll have to deal with its evolution, as upon leveling up with high friendship, it would evolve into Giganshore. These ginormous boulder crabs are extremely protective of their pre-evolution, as while most of the time they can be found sitting still inside of their rocky shells, if they hear a Pepsqueak in trouble, they will burst alive, allowing the Pepsqueak to climb onto its shell for safety, before using its incredible weight and humongous claws to destroy the threat. And for inspiration, this Pokemon is based off the many rock beaches that can be found all along the French Riviera. I spent the entire first half of my trip in a bunch of different places, mainly Nice, and anytime you got to any sort of high point, you could look out and see the beach and the water and the houses along the hills, and it is just so beautiful. And I think this Pokemon goes with that vibe perfectly because it's just this peaceful little crab that's just wandering around, not really bothering anybody, and adding to the scenic nature. But that's gonna do it for today's episode, y'all. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe before you go. And if you want to watch more episodes of the Custom Pokemon series, there's a bunch in this playlist. I know this episode was super different from normal. Let me know in the comments if you liked it or didn't. And if you did, maybe suggest some other countries I could go to make Pokemon inspired by it. I think that would be a super cool series if y'all are interested in. And either way, I'll see you in the next episode. But until then, peace.